Well, Crawford County prosecutors on Monday say they're pleased with the outcome in a double murder trial. Thank you for joining us for your 5 News Plus Weekend Wrap. I'm Morgan Wrigley. 5 News reporter Bo Russell was at the courthouse in Van Buren from start to finish and has reaction from the family on this week's verdict.
The trial of Cooper Wesley, who is now guilty of 2 counts of capital murder, has ended after 3 days, but the jury didn't even take 20 minutes to deliberate. During closing statements today, the defense argued that 27-year-old Cooper Wesley was under the influence of drugs at the time of the 2023 murders and wasn't in his right mind. However, Crawford County prosecutors pointed out that in Arkansas, voluntary intoxication is not a defense under the law. Almost immediately after being sent to deliberation, jurors returned to the courtroom with a verdict.
Was it 17 minutes? 17, 18 minutes. We're very pleased. We're pleased with the jury. We think that they were listening, paid attention, understood the evidence, and quickly arrived at a verdict that I think the family is pleased with, and definitely this office is pleased with, and law enforcement's pleased with.
Chelsea Wallace is victim Terry Brissell's daughter, but she's also the defendant's sister. She says she is making peace with the verdict.
I love him, but I will always hate him. I'm pleased with the verdict, but it still don't bring my dad back.
Prosecutors did not ask for the death penalty in this case because they say they did not want to drag it out with the possibility of years of appeals.
We wanted this family to have closure. We believe there's at least a little sense of closure at this point. And immediately, once the jury found guilty on 2 counts of capital murder, it goes directly to sentencing, and he was sentenced by Judge McCune to 2 consecutive life sentences. Because
Wesley was charged with capital murder, those 2 life sentences that attorneys talked about do not come with the possibility of parole. In Van Buren, covering news where you live, I'm Bo Russell, 5 News.
He was a good patron of the community. You know, he was a devoted Charleston Tiger, you know, and if you needed help, Brad was there.
A deadly shooting in Lavaca has left a tight-knit community grieving and searching for answers. Police have now identified the man killed as 52-year-old Richard Brad Jones of Charleston. 5 News reporter Lauren Spencer spoke with a close family friend and the man who witnessed this all happen. It's a story you'll only see on 5 News Plus.
Amy Fisher has worked for Brad Jones's cabinet business for about 5 years. He says last Thursday they drove together to a home off Highway 96, trying to settle up over a past job.
Brad gets out, you know, he's leaning against that guy's truck, you know, in the driveway, and he's trying to call him on the phone, you know, just get a hold of him. I walked and knocked on the door, you know, to see if anybody's there. And by that time, you know, that guy comes out.
He says what started as a conversation turned violent in seconds.
Whenever he walked by him, he went straight to his truck and opened the door and pulled a gun out of a holster and jacked a bullet into the chamber. Brad's like, well, you gonna pay me? He's like, no. He's like, I'm not gonna pay you. And then he's like, well, and he's like, here, Jamie, hold my glasses. And when he took his glasses off, and as he was handing me the glasses, the dude shot him.
Fisher says he tried to help, but nothing could prepare him for what he saw.
I just said, Brad, lay down, you know what I mean? Stay down. And then I took up at that guy and I was like, dang, I was like, you just messed up. He's like, back up. He's like, you'll be next. You know what I mean? He's like, I'll shoot you too.
Brad's longtime friend, BJ Ross, says the man he knew was a cornerstone of Charleston, a coach and a mentor to hundreds of kids.
I believe in second chances, and Brad would always say, well, I believe in many chances it takes to get a kid right.
To many, Brad was more than a friend. He was a second father, willing to do anything for anyone.
One of the big things was he would always tell the Little League football kids, you know, if you win the championship, you know, if you win the league championship, everything else, I'll let you shave my head in front of the school.
As the investigation continues, his loved ones are holding on to the memories he leaves behind.
We got to remember exactly what Brad was here and what he was here to do, you know, and what he did for the community and what he's going to continue to do because, you know, his legacy and it will live on.
Covering news where you live, Lauren Spencer, 5 News.
Sebastian County Sheriff's Office says no arrests have been made at this time. They're working with the county prosecutor as the investigation moves forward. And we're hearing more about a man who was shot in Benton County last week. 41-year-old Kevin Nickel is survived by his 8-year-old son. 5 News reporter Claire Everbach talked to loved ones Monday and shares more on how the community is stepping up to help the family.
Kevin Nickel was a longtime wrestler who coached at this gym in Rogers, Ozark Mountain Wrestling. Today, I spoke with several loved ones who shared more about Kevin's life and legacy.
Better known as Ivan Warsaw in the wrestling world, Kevin was a coach, mentor, father, son, and brother. Students say they have fond memories of road trips and competitions, and loved ones say Kevin was selfless and full of compassion. Devin Lyles, a close friend of Kevin's, started a GoFundMe to help cover funeral and memorial expenses, and most importantly, to provide support for Kevin's 8-year-old son, Zach.
There's no replacing your father, especially one that cared about you as much as he did. So he's got a long road ahead of him, and we want to be there for him, but we also want to resource the family and him best as we possibly can for the future.
In Rogers, covering news where you live, Claire Everbach, 5 News.
Newly released documents identify the 2 state corrections officers who were fired after Grant Hardin escaped from a North Arkansas prison back in May. Justin Duvall was a food preparation supervisor. William Walker was a Department of Corrections corporal. They say Duvall admitted to allowing Hardin to clean the back dock unsupervised, which is a violation of policy he had repeated during prior shifts even after being warned. Reports show William Walker saw Hardin alone on the dock but failed to report it. He later let him out, mistaking him for a guard, and opened both security gates without checking ID, allowing him to walk out of the prison. They were both officially let go on June 11th. And we're learning more about a professor at the University of Arkansas who reportedly confessed to downloading and viewing child sexual abuse material. According to Brandon Carter, prosecuting attorney for the 4th Judicial District, Washington County, the University of Arkansas professor made statements about possessing child sexual abuse materials, which led to his arrest and so far 1 charge of possession. 5 News reporter Kayla Davis breaks down the details after hearing from the attorney.
On July 11th, around 7:30 a.m., investigators searched 34-year-old Joshua Eric McGee's home on North Betty Jo Drive in Fayetteville. They say they found a thumb drive containing multiple folders of child sexual abuse material. The search came after the Internet Crimes Against Children alerted Fayetteville PD that content was being downloaded to McGee's address.
He was arrested on July 11th. The court set a bond for him, which he posted the next day on July 12th.
That bond was set at $5,000, and now he awaits an upcoming court date next month, just over a week before the first day of class begins at the University of Arkansas.
The thing that's unusual about Mr. McGee, obviously, is his place of employment at the University of Arkansas, and that's what seems to make him stand out.
We reached out to the University of Arkansas for an interview. They gave 5 News a statement saying, quote, Joshua McGee, a teaching assistant professor in exercise science, has been placed on administrative leave. Carter says child predators remain an ongoing problem and believes the state must continue to make this issue a top priority.
This office in the state takes such a strong stance on CSAM cases is because the children depicted in CSAM images are just as much of a victim as somebody who has been actively offended on. In fact, people in those images were actively offended on. That's why the image exists. The difference is that every time that image is distributed, that child is re-victimized again.
McGee is scheduled to show up in court on August 8th, where he will receive formal charges. Investigators will spend the next several days or weeks going through McGee's devices to determine if more charges should be filed. Well, a federal appeals court ruled that Arkansas can enforce its ban on the teaching of critical race theory in public schools. The decision came Wednesday from the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals in St. Louis. The lawsuit challenging a section of the Arkansas Learns Act banning the indoctrination of students. It claims that section violates the First Amendment's free speech clause. In Wednesday's ruling, the court said the plaintiffs failed to show a likelihood of success in the case, ruling that the free speech clause doesn't require the government to promote messages it disagrees with. The ruling overturns a lower court's order that had blocked the law while the case moves forward. And Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders announced that her re-election campaign raised more than $1.5 million in the second quarter of this year. She now says she has close to $5 million on hand for her re-election campaign next year. A major change to Fayetteville's recycling system is on hold, at least for now. City council members decided to table a vote that would transition from curbside sorting to a cart-based system. City says switching to a cart-based program would cut costs and expand access, but not everyone agrees. 5 News reporter Lauren Spencer shows us why the proposal is drawing both support and pushback.
Fayetteville City Council hit pause on a plan to replace the green bins many residents have used for years.
It will enable us to scale our recycling services to more customers. So we'll be able to reach more multifamily customers and more commercial customers that we're not able to reach right now.
Peter Nierengarten, environmental director for the city, says the current curbside system is expensive and tough on workers. Through the new plan, residents would get a 65-gallon cart, like a trash bin, and a truck would come and collect materials.
We have a lot of shoulder injuries. We have a lot of slips, trips, falls, ankle sprains. We've had a number of heat stress incidences working out in the summertime heat.
The 3 R's are in order for a reason. Like, we're supposed to reduce from the jump, then reuse, and then recycle. Like, recycling should be a last resort.
But some see this proposal as a setback.
A lot of the older community have been fighting for clean recycling and to keep the recycling as it is for a while. And I feel as if, and I feel like a lot of people do too, that single stream is greenwash.
Taylor Bridges is concerned about contamination. She says the city should focus on education and better drop-off options, not just convenience.
I would rather see increased education. I would rather see more alley cats, which is like a big trailer in apartments. Like, an apartment in Fayetteville will have an alley cat and you can go like sort your recycling. Education is super important because I don't think that people intend to not do right by the environment. I think people a lot of times don't know better, or convenience is easy.
The council will revisit the proposal August 5th. If approved then, the new system could be in place by next year. Well, Fayetteville City Council also approved $450,000 in funding for projects to help the city better address homelessness. It passed unanimously. City staff will present proposals to use the money, which comes from the city's general budget. We also learned Monday that the City of Fayetteville's environmental director, Peter Nierengarten, was elected to be the chair of Arkansas Advanced Energy Foundation. He's been involved with the organization for more than a decade now and will take on the new role in addition to his duties in Fayetteville. Well, we're taking a closer look at the potential impacts future Medicaid cuts will have on rural community access to health care. We spoke with Welcome Health NWA Tuesday. They say existing financial struggles have had rural hospitals on the brink of closure for years. But now, new cuts to Medicaid funding could push them over the edge. 5 News reporter Bo Russell tells us what experts are saying about the nearly $1 trillion cuts.
Right now, almost half of Arkansas hospitals are losing money. Monica Fisher-Macy, the executive director of Welcome Health NWA, says because 14% of Arkansans, over 100,000 people, are losing access to Medicaid by 2027, even more hospitals will face financial struggles.
You know, the emergency rooms are going to fill up because people have no place to go.
She says the cost of emergency room visits will be felt by someone.
It's absolutely a hefty cost, but some emergency rooms do not turn away individuals who are low income or uninsured. So yes, those costs will be uncovered and somebody has to take care of those costs.
Medical debt doesn't only cause problems for hospitals, it also creates life-threatening circumstances for people who don't want to take on financial burdens.
Generally, folks who are uninsured and low income, if they have some type of illness, they wait until their illness progresses to a state from which it is very difficult to recover or it's very expensive to recover. They wait in hopes that their illness gets better, and that's often not the case.
Experts predict reduced access to health insurance will cause residents in rural areas to become sicker, requiring more care in the future. They say that will lead to an increase in healthcare spending, putting already struggling hospitals and the people they serve at risk.
This is very dangerous because then people in specifically the rural areas, they have long travel distances, and that's very difficult, especially for the elderly.
In the face of new challenges, organizations like Welcome Health are preparing to meet the needs of those who lose coverage.
If the need for our services increases, we will definitely also increase our staff, our volunteers, to meet the demand of the community.
We also received a statement from Washington Regional Tuesday. They said in part, quote, any cuts to the Medicaid program that causes patients to lose access to health care could result in delaying care, leading to serious illness or complications, strained emergency department services, and ultimately increased costs for patients and hospitals. UAMS announced a new hire Tuesday to help establish its new mental health program. focused on new and expecting mothers. Dr. Erin Jefferson will lead the new department. She is a 2020 graduate of UAMS School of Medicine and says the new program will serve women throughout their reproductive journey, focusing on unique mental health issues new moms face.
We've actually found is that pregnancy and the postpartum period especially is a really high-risk time, the most high-risk time in a woman's life. And many women are affected by postpartum depression.
The clinic will provide treatments from preconception through the first postpartum year. A major change to the structure of the University of Arkansas's Master of Business Administration program could open new opportunities for a stronger local workforce. The Walton College of Business is launching an accelerated one-year MBA program, a shift from its previous two-year format. 5 News reporter Claire Everbach spoke with business and economic leaders Tuesday, who shared more about what this program means for students and for the community.
Fall semester, it's going to be a rather intense semester, but the students that we're bringing in, I know can handle it.
The new accelerated one-year MBA program includes 3 semesters of rigorous coursework. Dr. Adam Stoverink, Executive Director of Walton MBA Programs, says the change is in response to a fast-moving job market.
There is a need right now for rapid, accelerated re-entry into the workforce. And so what this offers is an opportunity for them to complete a rigorous, top-ranked MBA program, but get right back into the workforce and accelerate their careers.
The program includes hands-on projects, leadership workshops, and even a global immersion experience in India. The shorter format also comes with financial advantages.
The cost of the program will go down a little bit. And we also have highly competitive merit-based graduate assistantships that include fully funded tuition plus monthly stipends.
Mark Goodman, Director of Economic Development for the Fayetteville Chamber of Commerce, says this model is not only great for students, but also the economy.
It's great for us because it makes it easier to market the region, the whole region. You know, as folks are getting skilled, upskilled, and that base is setting up here in Northwest Arkansas, it's easier for us to recruit companies that are in fact looking for that talent.
A stronger workforce means stronger local business.
Our economy is going through a major shift because of AI, because of all kinds of things. And the better skilled our workforce is, the better prepared we'll be for that next generation of employment. With those new skills, they'll be better, they'll work better, they'll make better business decisions.
And for many, a one-year model is more realistic, especially those re-entering the workforce.
Sometimes it's hard to make a 2-year commitment, and it's much easier to make a 1-year commitment, and it's going to be an intense program, and folks will really appreciate that, and allows them to get back into the workforce quicker with the same skills.
Stoverink says students are ready for the change.
In fact, they were even more motivated because they know it's going to be a really challenging and rewarding year, but they're going to get right back out into the workforce as quickly as they possibly can, ready to make an impact immediately.
21 students are in the first cohort and courses start next month. Well, plans are starting to come together for a new downtown area in Centerton. 5 News reporter Parker Abels talked to city planners who say they're excited for the future.
The area behind me on South Main here in Centerton right now is just open field. However, soon the city hopes it can be an additional 400 acres of the new downtown. The city acquired this new land with the help of the Urban Land Institute to keep up with rapid growth.
It basically allows them to help fund a planning project, and we chose a master plan for our downtown.
Mayor Bill Edwards says a grant from the ULI will help update and expand downtown Centerton.
The one thing that Centerton lacks is we don't really have a defined downtown area.
He says new development will add to the quality of life.
Our staff looked at an area that's not developed as of yet. We wanted to make this area, more of a walkable area, have all amenities, folks can walk, bike, and have a nice gathering place.
Centerton City Planner Kayla Knight says it's a 3-stage plan.
Our old downtown, which we've been affectionately calling it the Old Town, which is north of, along North Main Street. And we're looking to revitalize that area, but still keep the history and the character of it. We're looking to do a new downtown along South Main Street, which you guessed it, we've been calling it Newtown. and that's about 400 acres of undeveloped green space in our city. And then the third component is getting people across Centerton Boulevard because that's a state highway so that they can get between Old Town and New Town safely.
However, the mayor wants to make sure his residents love the idea before they move forward.
We want to hear what the community has to say too. We want to, get their feedback. So there'll be plenty of opportunities for them to offer that feedback to us, so we all can work together, the community and ourselves and our staff, and come up with something that we all be proud of.
Now, they are still early in the planning process, so there is no date as to when this project would start. However, the mayor does tell me that it will be completed about a year after that start date. Well, in Centerton, covering news where you live, Parker Abels, 5 News.
Well, the city of Fort Smith isn't spraying for mosquitoes this summer, a move that's sparking mixed reactions. The city says it's for budget reasons, but others say it's bugging them out. 5 News reporter Lauren Spencer shows us what's buzzing.
Inside, what do your arms and legs look like?
Bitter.
In the summertime, it's a routine of insect repellent and citronella candles for Lisa Rickett. But now that the city of Fort Smith has stopped spraying for mosquitoes,
I think it's already made a difference. They're a lot thicker this year.
A lot of people didn't like it. Our drivers were getting threatened.
City Director Neil Martin says budget cuts were a factor, but so was the lack of proof it was working. Reactions from residents have always been a bit of a mixed bite.
That spray goes into the air and only lands in the front of folks' house, and depending on the size of your front yard, it might not do anything.
So the city swapped out the spray trucks for something a little less buzzworthy, free tablets.
It's going to try to kill the mosquito larvae before it turns into a biting adult.
Still, local pest control companies are feeling the bite.
We've had some big flooding as of recent, and we have seen an uptick in mosquitoes for sure.
Justin Shoup, owner of Extermco, says what the city was spraying helped to an extent, but his company focuses on targeted treatments.
We walk the property, we identify where all the mosquitoes are breeding, feeding, and resting. We identify all that, and then we treat the water with a larvicide. It absolutely works. So, once they see the difference between what the city does or if they're doing nothing, and then have a professional come out, you will see a significant decrease in mosquitoes.
Until then, families like Lisa's are stocking up on sprays, candles, and patience.
It's hard for us to do barbecues and things like that because of the mosquitoes.
In Fort Smith, covering news where you live, Lauren Spencer, 5 News.
You can pick up those mosquito tablets at the city's streets department. Well, Sheepdog Impact Assistance is on the ground in Texas, helping with flood relief. Last Sunday, the Rogers-based organization delivered trailers filled with essential supplies to Liberty Hill, Texas. Now, more than 90 volunteers from 17 states are helping out, clearing debris, searching through damaged homes to recover family belongings. As recovery efforts continue, disaster response leaders say the best way to help is through financial donations, especially for families without flood insurance.
There's plenty of people that have a need here. And so certainly share the stories. Any amount counts that you can help out with because, these communities have been pretty devastated. Some of these people's everything has been washed away.
Sheepdog Impact Assistance plans to continue their work in Texas through Friday, returning to Arkansas on Saturday. Well, the 184th Attack Squadron at the Air Guard Base in Fort Smith is the best in the country. The squadron has been awarded the 2024 General Atomics Remotely Piloted Aircraft Trophy, recognizing it as the top squadron across all of U.S. Air Force active duty, Guard, and Reserve units. The 184th is part of the 188th Operations Group and distinguished itself through executing 314 combat missions and providing thousands of hours of intelligence, surveillance, and for various operations.
RPAs are effective because of the fact that they can provide long-range endurance, and they're basically almost like a satellite. They can provide many hours of full motion video capability. They've adapted their aviation skills, satellite capabilities. The fact that they're taking off and landing planes overseas from here.
The squadron made history as the first unit tasked by the president to provide overwatch for humanitarian and airdrops. It also led the Air Force in MQ-9 non-traditional defensive counter-air and counter-small unmanned aerial system engagements, conducting 66% of all those missions. Well, with more people moving to northwest Arkansas, Springdale water officials are working to stay ahead of the curve, making sure the sewer system is ready to handle the growth. Springdale Water Utilities says they're seeing about 3 to 4% of growth in the area every year, putting areas of their system in jeopardy of hitting capacity. Right now, the wastewater treatment plant has about 13 to 15 million gallons flow through every day, with a capacity of just over 24 million gallons. But the director of engineering says the collection system will need improvements to keep up. Along with the additional 15 projects coming up over the next 5 years, he says there's one project that needs immediate attention on Sunset Avenue.
We identified a leak in a manhole and in a line that crosses 412. Unfortunately, we can't get access to that because many years ago, a storm drain was constructed over an access point in that. So we're having to do modifications to that to be able to accommodate the lining of the sewer.
He says construction on that damaged sewer line will start in about 2 months and should take around 5 days. You'll still have access to those neighboring businesses during that time despite any detours. The Arkansas Department of Transportation is taking steps toward finishing Interstate 49 extension in the River Valley. The stretch between Greenwood and Texarkana is the only unfinished part of I-49, which runs from South Louisiana all the way to Canada. This first step is just a small piece of a much bigger project. RDOT says the first phase it's about to begin will take about 4 years, and it's one of 4 phases to connect I-40 in Alma to Highway 22 in Barling. Now, finishing the full I-49 link down to Texarkana is much further down the road, but it starts with this bridge over the Arkansas River, and RDOT is getting ready to break ground on the 3-mile stretch of new road near Fort Chaffee, including the bridge. It's part of the larger, nearly 14-mile connection from I-40 in Alma to Highway 22. Groundbreaking is scheduled for August 22nd. The state awarded a $282.5 million contract for the first phase, and RDOT says it's funding each phase of the project as it comes.
We're just focused on getting this first phase of that I-49 extension complete. We are the only missing link from Louisiana up to the Canadian border, and it's a high priority for us to complete the link in Arkansas.
Once that 13.7-mile connection is complete, it will fill a major gap in the interstate, but of course still just a fraction of the more than 160 miles that are needed to connect Greenwood to Texarkana. RDOT says while that's the end goal, there's still no timeline or budget for the whole thing. They're just taking it one phase at a time. Well, McLean Moody, a pitcher out of Northside High School in Fort Smith, was officially drafted Monday night into the MLB in the 15th round by the Pittsburgh Pirates. He says this is a dream come true for him, especially after being drafted by the Pirates, a team he's been talking to for a while. Well, now he says he has a decision to make as he was already committed to play baseball at Arkansas, and he says he knows just how big this decision is.
My initial thought was, what am I going to do? I'm going to really be having conversations with my agent and conversations with the team and conversations with Arkansas, just figuring out what the best move for me and my family is.
The deadline for Moody to decide on which route he wants to take is July 28th. Well, thank you for watching the 5 News Plus Weekend Wrap. While you're here on 5 News Plus, check out our latest newscast, weather impact forecast on demand, along with other original content from the 5 News team. Have a great weekend.